Hi. Hopefully the technology works. I apologize that this is going to also be in English. My name is Ilana Pincho. I'm from Pikapia. We're from Israel. So we are from Israel. We're a team that has come from the industry. One of the founders is a sailor for many years. Another was working in marine management. We have data scientists on board and one of Israel's top experts in artificial intelligence and supply management. So our goal is to create the marina of the future. I'll just play a quick video, hopefully this will work, tells a quick story of what we're doing. Does the sound?
What we believe marinas could be. Marinas declare themselves to be at full capacity, and as you can see, it is perceived to be so. But when looking at the marina from a bird's eye view, you can see that many berths stay vacant, translating into direct financial loss. The marina's main source of revenue is from resident boaters who rent berths on a yearly or seasonally basis, but their best revenue is from visiting boaters who occupy the vacant spaces for double the rate. The marinas cannot detect these profitable resources in time, and that is where we come into play.
So this startup was actually born from working in a marina that claims to be at 110% capacity, that sailors complain that they can't make a booking, it's impossible to find a spot, and yet every time we walk into the marina there were spaces vacant. And one of the reasons for this is that this is how that marina and many marinas manage their supply. It's a physical board with magnets as boats go in and out, whether that's a physical board or an electronic version. You can know what's happening today, yesterday, tomorrow, but not what's happening next week or the week after. You're limited by what you see today, and by introducing algorithms and making this automated, this process, we can optimize supply and revolutionize the way that the industry is working. We've heard a little bit today about how AI and technology is changing the tourism industry. I'm sure we're all familiar with how we book our trips online, being able to plan further ahead. Ironically, everyone thinks that planning is last minute, but there's actually more and more planning ahead of time, as well as the flexibility of last minute bookings. Traveling more frequently. These days we don't travel by a map looking where our next destination is. We look online for reviews of places, recommendations from friends, and also tailored ideas and opportunities that we find online. But while the world has been changing, marinas have stayed the same. The result of this has been that while in the past 15 years we've seen the number of tourists traveling internationally has doubled, actually the age of boat owners has risen by 10 years. This is a threat to the industry, but there's also an opportunity here, because young people haven't left sailing entirely. They just aren't necessarily buying boats in the same way as in the past. Now, sharing economy has become the word that we hear everywhere, but it's something that is changing the way that we do business. We booked our accommodation here through Airbnb. We decided not to hire a car and using Uber. A third of millennials today use sharing economy to book their accommodation. And this is happening also with boats. Rather than an individual buying a boat, there's more people sharing boat ownership or choosing to rent. And these are still potential clients for marinas if they're targeted properly. So we want to target both existing customers and future customers, because millennials are traveling more. While baby boomers or Generation X travels once or twice a year, millennials are traveling 5 or 7 times a year, and for longer trips. These are actually Picapia's interns from around the world, Mexico, Germany, Israel, and it was their first time on a boat. And this is what we want to try. We want to change. We want to get more people into the industry, make this competitive with other tourism industries. So again, when we book our trips, it's not just one aspect that we're looking at, but multiple. You book a flight and a hotel and a car all together. You look up one destination and see what activities are available there as well. While this is how we mostly are planning our travel, booking a marina is actually, it was mentioned earlier, still by fax. This is perhaps the more extreme example if you print it out and fax it in. But it's not uncommon to have to fax or call, go into the marina, radio in. Some marinas have introduced online forms where you can submit details, but it still requires correspondence, submitting the documents physically when you get to the marina and finalizing payment. And aside from the frustration of this process, you don't have the benefits of accumulated data and the analysis that we can do when we have this data on a mass scale. So online travel agencies today are a $150 billion industry. Why are they not addressing marinas? So we're glad to see that there is a startup today who, and there are others in the industry that are recognizing this industry, but it does have particular challenges. First of all, boats, three-dimensional, having to fit into the marina, into a particular pier, seeing that size matches, that they can actually get into the marina, that the dates of when different sized berths are available match with the availability. Paperwork is an incredibly complex issue. Marinas are entry points to countries in many cases. They have to check licenses, registration, insurance in order to enter the marina. Safety is a primary concern for most marinas. How do you get in without damaging other boats or endangering people? How is waste managed properly? And every marina is different, so being able to communicate that information. And weather, which we'll speak about and heard about also today, is a factor that impacts this industry more than others. So this is what we're working to do, is take all of these factors and put them onto one simplified platform, beginning with a simple algorithm that can match supply and demand, and introducing more sophisticated algorithms and machine learning that enables us to take all of these aspects of size, safety, regulation, and from that produce recommendations. But we don't want to just manage the existing supply, we want to create new supply. Marinas are incredibly expensive to build. They can cost tens or hundreds of millions of euros to construct. They also have a risk of damaging the environment, the coastline, from building them. So countries are very reluctant to build more marinas. It's almost impossible in south of France to build a marina. We heard there was one marina that added 5 spots for catamarans. Catamarans, the wider boats, becoming more popular. It took them 5 years to approve that, and it still had to be within the boundaries of the existing marina. So when we have a limited supply and boats are getting bigger, wider, longer, we have more shared boats and rentals coming into the industry, supply is becoming more of an issue. So rather than construction, we should be creating new supply through optimization, through using the existing supply more efficiently and effectively. So how do we access how do we utilize this new supply that we've created? So there's direct peer-to-peer, like we have with Airbnb, which seems very simple, except for both the regulation of the marina, and also when you have such limited supply, it significantly limits the opportunities that there's going to be to rent out if people's travel plans have to match exactly. So that's where we move up to the next stage of algorithms, where we can match empty spaces with demand regardless of the source, directing traffic to where supply is available, and creating new supply in high demand locations. As we move towards AI, we take in more factors into account. We have the fixed parameters of the boat, its size, and whether it needs an electricity access, but every boater has different interests, personalizing the offers. A Google study found that when presented with an offer, 30% of people would consider traveling when they hadn't planned to. How do we segment the customers and understand who is going where, what types of boats, what types of travel for how long, and targeting those groups appropriately. Studies have shown that the more accurate that agents, even if they're people, the information that they have in order to know who to recommend what, makes the uptake, the rate at which people are using those plans much higher. We can predict supply and demand, being able to know when there'll be more available, redirect as is needed, market to particular segments, and also provide information not only for boaters, but for the marinas. Providing data insights into their business. Where are people coming from? What type of boats? How do these factors impact occupancy and revenue? Helping them make decisions about their business. Connecting marinas. Today, marinas, each marina acts as an individual entity. They collect data on themselves, but they have no idea what's going on in the industry. This is actually a map of shipping because the data doesn't exist in the recreational industry. Understanding how people move, where are they going, identifying clusters so we can encourage people to travel in a specific area. This is how we grow this into small businesses, into a tourism industry. And this is particularly important when we see that a third of European tourism is on coastal areas. This is critical to creating jobs and growth, particularly if you think about that many marinas, some are located in central locations like Nice and Cannes, where you have a big city and tourist sites that are surrounding it, whereas others are in smaller towns where there are less businesses that we want to access, people who are interested in being out in nature, in quiet, hiking, snorkeling, discovering new destinations. That previous study found that not only would people consider a trip that they hadn't planned, but going to a new destination that they hadn't heard of if they were offered. That means that we can not only create new supply in high demand areas, but redirect people into lower demand areas so that we're distributing tourism more broadly along the coastline. And linking marinas to that industry. Marinas shouldn't just be luxury parking lots where you come and stop your boat and have access to electricity and water. There are so many services around these institutes. We have water sports, tourist attractions, hotels, particularly for those who don't have air conditioning on their boat perhaps, restaurants, boat repairs. Activities is the third largest segment in travel today, and it's growing faster than travel as a whole. It's expected to reach $174 billion by 2020. That means that going to a destination, you want to see what is available. What can I experience? Today is less about purchasing and more about experiences. It's an entire ecosystem that we can connect by understanding better individual preferences, what people are looking for, and how to direct development in cities to take better advantage of these connections. To shift slightly, we heard already today that of boaters trying to, wanting to go out into the sea and seeing a headwind that they can't go out in a small boat. A large sailboat leaving from a different part of the coast, that's going to be a great opportunity to go sail. So weather is particularly an issue in this industry, and understanding and predicting how it's going to affect behaviour can revolutionise the way that this works. To bring it down for those of us who aren't sailors, a simple example of going to meet a friend at a coffee shop. It's a nice day, you've planned to meet, chances are you're going to head out. But what happens when it starts raining? Now it kind of depends. How hard is it raining? How far do you have to walk? Is there a wind that's going to turn your umbrella into a pile of sticks? Do you live in a city like London where if you don't go out when it's raining, you're never going to go out? Or do you live in a city like Tel Aviv where if it rains for 3 minutes, every street in the city is flooded? That is going to definitely change the way that you decide whether to leave the house or not. Or in the most extreme scenario, if we say there's a massive storm, you're not going anywhere, if you happen to be in the coffee shop, you're going to be stuck there for the next few hours. This is the situation that mariners and sailors are dealing with. But it's not just rain, it's wave heights, directions, wind, and all of these factors affect boaters in different ways. Having a better understanding of how variable weather affects behaviours enables us to introduce flexibility into planning. At the moment, the choice is book 6 months ahead to make sure that you have a berth, or wait until you know what the wind is and decide on the day, in which case there are certain destinations you just can't go to. By understanding better behaviour and its connection to weather, we can introduce flexibility into planning, to have both the ability to plan and to change your plans as the weather changes. Being able to provide solutions as we see that there is a storm coming. We know that you're not going to be able to leave. Here's an opportunity to extend your booking. Here's an opportunity to go somewhere else. And finally, I just want to say that AI is sometimes seen as a threat to the jobs that we have in the industry, but we don't believe that that's the case. AI isn't coming to take the jobs, but to redirect the focus. Rather than people in the marina focusing on paperwork and checking licenses, they are available to greet people as they come into the marina, help them tie up, direct them where to go, focusing the jobs that we have on people and not paperwork. And this is our vision, sitting in the marina, being able to book and plan your next trip. So as I said, we're from Pier. We are meeting with marinas now along Côte d'Azur and planning to open an office here in the coming months. So we look forward and looking for partners in this area. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. I'm sure we have some questions. And you know, you are the startup nation.
Yes.
And we are in Sofia Antipolis, just near the biggest technopark in Europe. So we have to deal together, to do something together. And of course, in the tourism, in the second tourism part of France. Some question?
Yes, my name is Linda Menache. I'm from IBM. And when you were talking about optimizing like the spaces in in the marinas, have you, I was thinking obviously of like all the products we have of optimizations. And I was wondering if you had any idea of, if you had approached IBM to, using these software and these products.
We'd love to chat about that and see how we can work together. Afterwards.
And you will have a stand anyway, so with the opportunity to discuss during lunch. Other question? Young guys, students. No question?
I hope my
you don't have any boat yet? No boat yet? Where is your application already installed?
We are already working in Israel. We're in the Tel Aviv marina, and through partnerships from travel, we're working in different marinas in Israel and also in Cyprus. And we're looking now to find a partner in France with discussions with a number of marinas to start working here as our next destination.
When we saw your map, we've read everywhere. We had the site, so I suppose you have a lot of opportunity. Yeah. And also for small marina. We have here in Villeneuve-Loubet Marina Baie des Anges, like that. So we could discuss also with Patricia about what could be in this kind of thing, and also perhaps in some educational studies. We have some teachers here, professors from tourism, and also looking for a new idea for students or for professors to exchange about that. So perhaps it would be an opportunity to discuss. You have two professors there, okay?
Oh, we'll be very happy to.
And another year. So it can be an opportunity.
Wonderful,
okay?
wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all.